evening and welcome to Tonight with Tim Modise. Tonight we'll be talking to Dr. Khulu Mbatha on the state of the ANC and South Africa. And later we'll be speaking with Gauteng Department of Education spokesperson Steve Mabona about registrations and other challenges. Make sure you share your thoughts with us on Twitter at Tim Modise and at Soweto TV channel. South Africa has been experiencing political turmoil in recent times, leading to the poor implementation of the National Development Plan and lack of economic growth and opportunities. The government has been embroiled in allegations of corruption at state-owned entities, with most of the corruption being blamed on President Jacob Zuma and the Gupta family. And this has defined the politics within the ANC, and currently several candidates are campaigning to replace Zuma as leader of the ANC, and this will happen at the December conference. Zuma is blamed for sowing divisions within the organization and for weakening state institutions, including the National Prosecuting Authority. The ANC itself is divided on various fronts and therefore has been weakened. Our guest tonight is going to talk about these and other charges against the president and the ANC. Dr. Khulu Mbatha is a veteran of the ANC and has served in various capacities in government, and recently launched a book titled Unmasked: Why the ANC Failed to Govern, which is going to launch in Soweto later this month, and he joins us on the program. Dr. Mbatha, pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Tim, for inviting me.
Now, I will start by saying your book seems a bit unfair to suggest that the ANC generally failed to govern, because, you know, it helped to usher in the democratic dispensation. It fought the liberation, ushered in the democratic dispensation in 1994, built Chapter 9 institutions, we've had regular elections, and a whole variety of things have happened in the country over that period of time. In recent times, yes, we have challenges, but then, you know, it's a mixed bag of outcomes under the ANC government. To say in generalized terms that the ANC failed to govern is unfair, isn't it?
It depends how you look at it, Tim. Let me mention that the ANC fulfilled its mission. That was to liberate South Africa and bring freedom. 100% fulfilled. You needed another organization. Let's say you needed an ANC that will be able to transform itself into a governing party instead of a ruling party. You needed an ANC that will move from a status of liberation movement to that of taking control of a new situation in South Africa, which means acting and leading all the people of South Africa united under one constitution, united to build the institutions of democracy. But this has not happened. The ANC failed to transform itself into that. It has become the main hindrance to building and strengthening our democracy. In a way, we can say it is failing in a big way, and this crisis is actually going towards its end now that we have a conference that is going to take place to elect not new leaders, but not with a new vision.
So, in a sense, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that the ANC is suffering from lack of vision and good quality leadership at this time.
What I'm trying to say is that, you see, Jack Paul's book, The Gupta Republics, and so on, those books exhibit exactly what has happened to the soul of the ANC, including its leadership. So it's a failure of the whole organization. And why is this failure happening? It's happening because the ANC does not have policies to build itself into a strong organization to lead the people of South Africa. It does not have policies to govern the country. So it's a free-for-all. That's why it has been captured. The state has been captured, but it was the ANC that was captured before. So it is exposed. It is exposed on a platform where there are a lot of sharks that have a freehold coming in and coming out of the ANC and getting whatever they want. We can say Jacob Zuma came with his own people. We don't know the new leadership, which other people are going to come in and do the same thing.
Now, why do you think this happened to the ANC? I mean, you were in exile, right? And you more or less know the workings of the organization, and it led to, you said 100% it delivered on its mission,
Yes,
which was
yes.
to liberate the country. But was it not prepared enough to govern beyond that?
Yes, the ANC never prepared for this phase. Remember, this is a totally new phase with new demands. It is said that, you know, if you want to build something new, we can say the ANC prepared ideologically and otherwise for the new situation. But it's something else to prepare and to do. So there were no plans. How do we build a new South Africa? There were ideas as contained in the Freedom Charter, but the test was always going to be how the ANC implements its policies.
Well, but I want to challenge that view a little bit. I've mentioned the different institutions that were built, including the main platform on which South Africa operates, which is the Constitution, right? This happened under the ANC governance of the country. Constitution introduced, the rule of law, Chapter 9 institutions, I've mentioned that, and other institutions that are instruments of making sure that you have a, properly functioning state. Most of the problems that you mentioned, including, I also said at the beginning of the program that we have a national development plan, but we don't have the capacity to implement. That's number one. Number two, the state-owned enterprises that the ANC itself says are at the center of the development of the state are under attack. We've got inquiry, commission upon commission to look at what went wrong in those institutions. So your comment on the current state of affairs, tell me.
Let me explain. It will be wrong to assume that we are implementing what the ANC had always had in mind. No, the ANC was implementing the agreements that were reached at Codesa. This is what was being, the new constitution, remember we had a transitional constitution, then we had this constitution that was the National Assembly, where not only the ANC, but all other parties that had participated, this was an agreement. So we can say the ANC led exemplary in establishing those institutions, but I think we can correctly say the ANC was running on half fuel, because it was no longer, the image of the ANC had already changed by the time that the new constitution, it had changed because the territory upon where it was operating had changed totally. It was no longer representing people of the ANC. It was now supposed to represent all the people of the South Africa. And we can look at good examples, and I say this, at Mandela, how Mandela operated. Because there were no firm policies, we can now say with hindsight that actually President Nelson Mandela did it his own way. We can therefore go further and say President Thabo Mbeki also did it his own way. And now what do we have? President Zuma is also doing it his own way. And we're looking forward. We can ask ourselves, are the new candidates also going to do it their own way? Because there are no policies. You can see the example of the deputy president announcing a slate when a national executive committee had taken a decision that we should not use slates to elect the new executive. He did it because he finds it is a correct way to do it.
Now, there are so many books that have been written about President Zuma. Yours looks at the broader ANC, like you've just defined.
Yes.
And let me just remind our viewers that the book is going to be launched in Soweto on the 26th of November at A2 Cinema in Mufolo. So make sure you get your ticket and come then hear Dr. Khulu Mbatha talk about his book. But there are books, you've mentioned the Gupta Republic is one of them. There's one by Adrian Basson and Peter Dutoy, and the other one that's been extensively discussed, the Jacques Pauw's book, The President's Keepers. Did it come as a surprise to you when you read and heard of all the revelations? And we've got, as I said, inquiries about what happened at ESCOM. The public protector has called for the Judicial Commission of Inquiry, which has not happened. Allegations upon allegations against President Jacob Zuma. What is your take of the current state of affairs?
Yeah, my take is that this book helped to exemplify exactly what I was talking about, that there are no policies, that everyone is doing things the way he or she thinks they are correct. But we were not clear exactly what is happening behind the scenes. And these books expose that, no, there's a president who has been working hand in hand with people who are outside government. But this does not start with him, and that's why I say it's not a failure of an individual, it's a failure of the whole ANC. It did not start with him. The state-owned enterprises started to be looted before he came in. We know what happened, and it's still going to continue as long as we don't have an ANC that will say enough is enough. We need to do what we're supposed to do before we took over political power in 1994. Do self-introspection, look at our capacities, ask ourselves one main question: are we ready to take government on behalf of the people? Do we listen to the people, what the people want? Are we going to create jobs? Are these policies that we have adopted from Asgiza and so on, now the National Development Plan, have they worked for us? Why did we have to change all these policies with one government of the ANC? Once these questions are asked and answered sincerely, then we'll be able to say, no, there is something wrong, not with the policies, but with us as an organization.
Now, the opportunities are limited for that. The conference is coming in a month or so, in December. New leadership is coming. People are focused more on that and not necessarily reflecting in the way that you are suggesting. What do you think is going to happen in December and post-2017?
Yeah, this is the scenario. We are given two candidates, NDZ and CR17. So we're supposed to choose. And nobody in the ANC is looking outside the ANC. So this is the choice. And we can see already there is a lot of money that is, you see people attending these rallies and so-called lectures and so on. They are wearing new T-shirts with new slogans. It means there's money that is being exchanged. At the same time, we are told that the ANC is broke. There is money circulating around this preparation for the conference. It means the results thereof can never be okay for the ANC, for the soul and life of the ANC. So I think we're going to have maybe something worse than we have had so far, and therefore we are guaranteed that the ANC will lose the elections in 2019, as we can see that the economy, by then, I don't think it will be in a healthy state.
Dr. Khulu Mbatha, well, it's somewhat sobering, coming from an ANC veteran, and you are still active in the organization, but you don't have confidence that ANC will win in 2019. Well, thanks to our guest, Dr. Khulu Mbatha, the author of the book Unmasked, Why the ANC Failed to Govern. And in a short while, we'll be talking to the spokesperson of the Gauteng Education Department, Steve Mabona, about the registration currently underway and the situation at schools.